It's the
Yep.
weirdest building. to
Your
design.
predecessor
and call the Bond Oversight Committee meeting to order at 5:36 p.m. We'll start just by, do we want to go around and do introductions or just get started? This is welcome introductions, but
It's up to you.
let's just go.
Okay, so one of the things I did want to do is introduce Dr. Suzanne West. She is our new superintendent, so she is taking over Dave's role in the Bond Oversight Committee and overall with the district. So we are really excited to have Suzanne here and continue these bond projects with us. The other person that we have here is Alex with Ross Builders. He is going to help support us and do a walkthrough, a tour of the CTE space and the work that was done here at the high school over this summer after we're done with the numbers piece. So he will help walk us through the new CTE space.
Before we do the minutes, I just want to say out loud, I'm gonna get up and walk out in a few minutes because of the teacher that's receiving an award, with the CSE, and then I'll be done. So when I leave, just no offense.
Okay.
Highly offended.
Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
Are we ready to go on to the approving minutes? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the June 12th, 2024 meeting minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much. All right, we'll go back to Eileen.
All right, so just a quick overview. Every time we meet, just wanted to remind everybody what the role of the committee is and what our purpose here is tonight. And that is three big things, and that's to make sure that we are spending our bond dollars as promised. We are meeting all of our bond commitments. We are spending our bond dollars on time and on budget. So making sure that we are, if we're not on budget, we're not going to be able to meet those bond commitments. But those are the three big buckets that we're looking at as we go through these projects. And overall, annually, it's a report to the board on the bond overall progress. So we did that report through May's expenditures, but we presented that in August to the board. So this next year, we'll hope to present at the second board meeting in June. And then if we look at the quarterly financial report, again, there's a lot of numbers and a lot of information in your packet tonight. So I'll highlight the things that are important. We are looking at page 1, which is the quarterly financial report. And at the top is the resources. And overall, we had a $128 million bond. We have received 100 million so far, or 103 million so far. And then we're projected to be at $14.3 million over budget for our bond resources. And that is because of the bond premium and interest that we've received to date. Interest is the one that's changed since the last time we met in June. We had a lot of our bond investments come up for maturity. And so we got $3.4 million worth of interest. This is adjusted for arbitrage rules. We can only collect so much interest with our bond investments because it's tax tax exempt investments. And so we can't receive more interest than what the exemption is for those that are investing in it. So we can't get more than, I think, 3.4%. And we've been getting between 4 and 6% on our investments. So anything over and above, we have to give back to the IRS. So this 3.4 million is adjusted for that. So it is actually a lot more than this 3.4 million. But we do have it reserved. As far as expenditures, we have 62.8% of our total budget expended or committed to be expended. 28.8 million has been expended to date, and the rest is all in commitments and contracts that we have secured. So like Cornelia's is going to go all the way through September of next year. So all of the expenditures that we've committed for that building and that project between now and then is in that encumbrance bucket. But things that we've expended to date should be already in that fiscal year 23, 24, or 25 column. Any questions on where we're at on broad budget? Okay. Schedule.
So on the overall, so page 3, the overall program schedule. We are currently the pink line, between August and September of 2024. And I mean, unless there's a specific question, I'm gonna say we're currently on schedule for all the line items. So Cornelius, as you can see in the yellow, anything in yellow is in construction. Anything that's in the red, when we get down to Echo Shaw, Harvey Clark, that is in design. That design is wrapping up, for instance, the other day, and I'll get to it in my Echo Shaw, but we received the 50% CDs. Harvey Clark is basically chasing right behind that, the same architect, so we had spaced them about a month apart. Playgrounds, we have received all of the equipment and we are awaiting the installer to actually install. So I had put a big, we hadn't known exactly when in the summertime. Well, we knew not in the summertime. So sometime between now and October, we should be doing the install on playgrounds. Going down, oh, 3K, that's an exciting one. We have just kicked off working on with the, what do you call it? Not senior staff, cabinet. Determining how they're gonna do pre-K. Eileen will talk about more about that later, but that's like our last really big project to move into design, so that's pretty exciting. And then, I'm not gonna get into the details of the schedule, but safety and security projects, which are all over the district, are just ongoing throughout the bond, as well as what Mark oversees as the district maintenance projects. They're just continuing with, I'm assuming, he just completed a very busy summer and looks forward to another one next year. Any questions on schedule? Like I said, we're pretty much right down the line, hitting the marks.
The next page is the bond budget changes. This is the same exact report as last June. We have made no budget adjustments since June. So it still just has our seismic distribution, and most of it's consolidating projects into particular groupings like HVAC or roofing. So no changes since we presented in June on that one. From here on, we're going to start into the individual project updates, going down that list, and we have pictures this time. And then Emil and I will kind of just tag team those.
Back and forth, please.
Yeah.
So Cornelius, as you can see by the pictures, is coming up out of the dirt right now. And they are working on concrete and steel to get the, let's call it superstructure up and in place so we can begin framing, roofing activities. It's kind of the next big push to get an outside skin on the building. I wouldn't say before winter, but the idea is as we progress into winter, we have a shell that they can start doing all of the rough-in mechanical, electrical, plumbing work on the interior. And then once it gets dried in enough, they can start hanging sheetrock and all that behind it. So everything is on schedule. The most exciting thing is we finally got through all of the LOAs, letters of authorization that we do with the general contractor, and they've established their GMP, which came in under budget. So I don't know if you want to address that in.
Yeah, with the final GMP coming in under budget this summer, what we were able to do is kind of add back into the project. So now Cornelius is going to have like the tile surfaces under the playgrounds. So we're going to build that into it, and then it's also going to have the turf field. So we'll have another turf field in the district. So we'll have one on the east side, one on the west side, and then one in the middle of town. Moving forward, it is going to be designed more for an elementary. It is an elementary field, but it will have both soccer and then little guy baseball. Oh, cool. Diamonds on it. So Cornelius will be soccer and baseball, and then NAMS is lacrosse and soccer and football. And then we have our high school. So trying to diversify a little bit of that play across the district. So we were able to add back both of those and still be under budget at Cornelius with finalizing that GMP this summer.
That's a big win. Good job.
Yeah, that's great. The other thing at Cornelius we did a couple of weeks ago is, well, we finished up the abatement this summer at Cornelius, and then we also took down memorial trees out front of the current elementary school so we could start on some underground utilities. With taking down those memorial trees, we were able to save the wood, and so now it is drying, and then our architects are going to try to find a way to then reincorporate that wood as a memorial in the new school. So that's another big one that's coming up with just community, emotions.
I was gonna ask a question. What about the office and the cafeteria? Is the city still gonna buy that or?
Right, we're still working with the city on that. We have, we're in the middle of doing a property line division. But we can't finalize that division until there's not a building over top of where we want to put the property line. So we have a certain number of days that we can do that. And right now, if we go over that date, then we have to wait for an extension or reapply. So we're kind of just waiting until we get to that point. And then we'll start hitting go on getting that property line division going.
But the city is gonna buy.
The city has intentions of purchasing that. We don't have anything formally in writing that they're gonna purchase it yet, though.
And can we use that money for the Cornelius school or no?
It'll go back into the bond, investments and
Okay.
bond projects, so, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions on Cornelius?
We did get a nice beehive out of there.
We did get a nice beehive this summer.
Yeah, I need
Interesting.
yes. Like,
Where was it?
it was in some concrete forms and the guy that rescued him estimated it had been there for 2 years. There was a big nest and it was dark honey, so it was pretty interesting.
Where was it?
Huh?
Where was it?
In the concrete forms that got delivered, so they came from offsite.
They came on site?
And then we do have 2 live cams. So Pence has their own live cam and then the district has a live cam. So at any point in time, you can go on the district's website and see either cams. They kind of hit the building at different angles. The other thing is, I didn't go to the meeting today, but I do believe within the next week, maybe 2 weeks, we should be doing our first slab pour. So,
That's coming Monday. They have to
Monday.
put it off because of the rain.
okay,
So Monday they'll have 260 yards, which is 30 trucks
Oh,
of concrete going down and, yeah.
so watch the
pretty
live
cool.
cams. That'll be fun.
oh, that will be.
Yeah.
Steel in the air by the end of the month. So it's pretty exciting right now.
It seems like, it feels like with Cornelius, it's been so slow. I've been just like antsy, Mark knows, because all of the underground work and everything they have to do underground and putting in all of the utilities and the electrical and stuff, it does take a long time to be able to do that. And there is more under that rock than you would know what to do with. It's pretty amazing how they know where everything goes, so.
What about security? Is there any concerns of stealing or anything on the site?
Not yet. I have heard of a couple of kiddos jumping the fence and kind of playing around inside, but no vandalism or issues yet, so. No questions with Cornelius?
Names athletics? Pretty clear. Okay. So obviously the major improvements on this were updating the tracks at both Tom McCall and at NAMS. And I think we've already updated you guys on this, but as we went into the NAMS one, it needed a lot more work, and because it's used for competitions, we actually then focused and rebuilt that one. And also put in the new turf field there, because obviously it's gonna get a lot more use with the football program, track and field and all that sort of stuff. But in doing all that with the improvements that we had budgeted for at the Tom McCall gym, we have enough money to also, and we're gonna talk about this today, these added values, I think as Eileen is calling them. We're gonna be able to replace the gym floor at NAMS as well. So one of the things in the bond was to try to repair the floor where the bleachers had damaged it coming out. And instead of just making that minor repair, we'll actually be able to replace the entire floor. So that's just another extra.
What are you gonna replace it with?
So, it's gonna be a, don't wanna call it rubber, but it's gonna be a similar type of athletic flooring that is currently down, but it's a thicker version of it. We looked at doing hardwood floors there, but it's, since the building wasn't designed, there's no recess in the concrete, to have to ramp up to hardwoods. Just gets to be too awkward in a, I'll just say octagon shaped room, because how they loved ankles when they built that building.
Yeah. Is it not currently hardwood?
No, no. It's currently like a rubberized flooring that's, when we had it assessed, let's just say it's at the end of its life and that they really need to have a new floor. It's a little thinner than what we do now with more of a modern floor, so the floor will become a little bit softer, a little bit better to be on. Say a better, more modern athletic floor, but
What's its life expectancy?
of the new product, that's an excellent question, but I don't know off the top of my head. I would probably say 20 years, but I don't wanna, don't quote me on that.
Not as long as the building's life expectancy, that's for sure.
What's going on with the turf? We were just talking about that. Well,
Oh, so on the turf field, the installer. They claim that we did it because we did it backwards, but, the level of the new rubberized track is about 1.5 inches higher than where the grade was for the field. So there's a difference that creates a little bit of about 1 inch tripping hazard coming from the field and off the field. We were also concerned about if you're following the track, like in a race and running, that if you happen to get pushed or shoved and stepped off, it could be an ankle twister. So they're gonna come back and they're actually going to raise the level of the field, so it matches out and it's flush all the way around like it should have been. So, but we didn't want to disrupt, practice in the fall. So we're using the field for practice. They're not gonna play any games on it, and that's what that little rope is indicating on 3 sides. One side, the side that they poured the asphalt and laid the field out, is perfectly flush. But it's on the 3, like say, existing sides that they just didn't match up the grade right. So they're gonna repair that in November once the field is available and the kids don't need it for practice.
So it can be used for practice.
It can be used for practice. It's just the coaches or the AD was a little concerned about just running off. Like if someone was in a game and there was like a long throw and they had to run towards the sideline, that tripping hazard, it was just a concern for safety.
And then, so when are we putting soccer goals on?
Soccer goals, I believe, are ordered. They're just not in yet. The building themselves ordered the soccer goals, so I don't have an ETA on that. But we did choose to do only practices because we can control and help the coaches. And if they know that there's a hazard, then they can control like where practice is being held and what that looks like. Whereas in games, it's a lot harder. So we have not opened that track up for large community events or games, just practices.
Right.
Is
But-
PE
Yeah.
using it?
PE's using it. I seen him out there this week. I was walking by, at least it was a class. I don't know if it was PE. I was assuming it was. But yeah,
Right, but for practices.
yeah. And I think the high school, Neil Armstrong's using it quite frequently because we're getting a couple of emails from him already. So
And then what happened with lights? Did,
we didn't have lights budgeted in for it to begin with. So since the turf is an added value already, we don't have budget for lights in there. We are getting a quote for lights so that when we get to the end of the bond or a little bit closer and we have funds left, then we can look at prioritizing what the additional needs are across the district. But at this point, we're not gonna move forward with lights yet because we have a lot of other things that are coming up. So. That's it.
Any other NAMs or Tomahawk athletics questions? No. So the field should be open for hopefully public use later this fall. If that was kind of where you were going with the rope and when the grading issue will be fixed.
Well, I think when we met with them, we said by March 1st at the
Oh.
drop dead date, because that's when spring sports start.
Okay.
So
oh, but it's not
Because-
available for practices?
it's available for practice,
Oh, right.
but
But not
to get the
community.
field fixed, we said March 1st was the
Oh,
drop
right.
dead date.
For
because,
game,
well, for the contractor to have it fixed.
right,
Yeah. Just because that
during the dead
was,
time of like Christmas and.
yeah,
and
because
holiday.
November, I mean, I don't know what schedules are in winter weather and everything like that, so there's a little bit of a time, right?
Right.
So if community people wanted to use it, that's not gonna be happening till at least the spring, till
For
sometime after March 1st.
Community groups, we have the gates open now, so if, kids want to go in and
I
practice.
know, do
or
we have
something,
signs up about
Um,
people with dogs and cleaning up after
I
themselves?
think
and
there's signs
not
around the
coming
Yeah,
in?
there is, signs,
But-
yeah. But yeah, that's one of the things I was
Just like,
wondering.
please, people,
Yeah,
pick up your dog poop and don't let them poop on our new turf, please and thanks.
it's amazing some of the things
Yeah.
people will do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Neil Armstrong.
So Neil Armstrong, pretty exciting summer. We got all of the, I would say, interior renovations done that pertain to moving the office and the 3 classrooms and building the new, what we refer to as PE station or PE classroom to extend the amount of size and square footage that they have. And I think we have a picture of it right there, all striped and basketball hoops. I will say that the striping paint might have still been damp on the first day of school, but everything got done right on schedule. It was very close. They worked over Labor Day weekend, putting the roof and those side panels up on that whole structure. And then the striping, I think, happened Monday on Labor Day. So they were there right till the end.
Clint really pulled it off.
Yeah.
He was
Um,
actually out there rolling
I
the
know, I
asphalt.
saw him, and they yelled at him, can't believe you're waiting this long.
Yeah.
I went to high school with him.
Oh,
So, and then we also have, if you guys want to see just pictures from during construction, a little bit of like before and after stuff of what we did. The new classrooms turned out really well. I think the new spaces are great. The office staff is very excited about their new office. It's a huge improvement, not only with the location and the safety and the vestibule and the connection to the outside, but just the new space that we built for them is just so much nicer than what they had before. So I know they're really stoked about all that. And then, so again, I think we had told you, the bid came in under budget back in the spring. And so some of the things that we have greenlit this summer while we were doing it, which made it even harder for Clint, you could say, is we redid, I don't know if we have a picture of it, the parent drop-off loop. Yeah, there's kind of a picture of it there. So we made it wider around the turn. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it went from 2 lanes, well, it had sort of parking, 2 lanes with parking, narrowed down to 1. So if parents were stacked through it, they couldn't have like an escape route. So in the, you can't quite see it, but where the trees are on that red line, we've now expanded it. You can kind of see how now there's 2 full lanes going around. So while parents are queued, parents can leave. And I think that's going to be a big thing. And on top of that, if you were to pull back, we added a new, well, we needed a flagpole, but new flagpole with lighting. There's going to be a new reader board out there. It's not installed yet, but the project goes through next year. And then I discovered, but I guess it was always there. There's this really cool Neil Armstrong monument sign kind of in that island. So we're getting some little, because we have to run electricity out there, we're gonna get some little ground lights and shine them up so people can see that Neil Armstrong sign that's been hiding behind some bushes and weeds and stuff for a number of years. So we're gonna do a little landscaping. And that was all ad. We also, because this, if you recall right there where it's pictured was the ADA parking for the building, we actually built a sidewalk over to the actual parking lot where visitors park. So now they don't have to walk through what was a rather soggy, grassy mess because there was 0 sidewalk connection even on the street. And we added more ADA parking in that parking lot next to the building. So I think that was a pretty good ad for like as a value add. And then another thing that we captured this summer, we weren't supposed to start the exterior seismic improvements around the building. We thought we'd start them in the fall and they were going to work through the year. They actually got all the way around past the library this summer. And while we had excavated out in front of the library, that area of the building is sunken beneath the grade. And there was some moisture wicking through the concrete. So we had the opportunity to damp proof and seal that part of the foundation. So we shouldn't get any water intrusion in that area of the library anymore, which is also just, it's a really nice bonus because instead of having to pay someone to dig it all up and do that work, it was all exposed. So kind of capture it at the same time. Think.
the other thing that's on order for Neil Armstrong, it's not been in yet. But the front above the vestibule, that big front gray piece is now gonna have signs, so it'll have Neil Armstrong Middle School and letters across the front, so it'll just add that a little extra to the front of the building. So we'll have the monument sign lit up, we'll have a new digital reader board, and then we'll have Neil Armstrong Middle School across the front. So it's more welcoming.
Yeah, I was there last week. It's beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really, really nice. The classrooms and the offices.
Yeah,
It's just, it looks like it's always been there. You know, I mean, it just,
that's a good compliment to the architect and that sort of thing happens, but the real compliment was some of the people were saying, like staff when they were coming in, like it felt like a new building too.
Yeah.
Like it felt like more than just that little remodel that happened, like it
Right.
gave the building a refresh, which leads us into hopefully they're really gonna like next year because we have a plan to use some of those additional funds to repaint the entire interior, kind of bring that new color of the wainscot around, and then add some additional wayfinding and signage. So we're gonna try to make it easier, because I know the first couple times I got lost in that building. It's a little difficult once you get to the middle of the maze
yeah.
and you look down one diagonal hallway and the other, and you're like, I don't know where my car is anymore. Yeah, I can only imagine being in the 7th grade on your first day, being told, go find B3. You're like, yeah.
I want to
Be-
point out, something I just noticed. If you look at the top right picture, the ceiling tiles, that is the only location in the building they line up with the walls. Everywhere else, they're on an angle.
So Neil Armstrong is going really well on the budget side of things. We actually didn't find, say, as many things on a project like that. Sometimes you're concerned, so you keep a lot of contingency for the what ifs. We didn't really run into that many issues or problems, so we haven't really burned a lot of the contingency or allowances in the budget, and we still had a decent contingency outside. So I'm very confident that this project will actually return some funds to the district at the end as well. So, and then those can either be put back into this building or even used to make better improvements elsewhere in your district. So that's exciting. Any questions on Neil Armstrong? Sorry, that's one of my projects, so I know a lot about it. Dilly's exciting. It looks fantastic as well, I think, on the inside and outside. So all I'm gonna say is that project was completed on time, on budget, and I'm gonna let Eileen just talk about a few of the things that got added value on to that one.
Yeah, I think the couple things that we're wrapping up with Dilly again is, just that new digital reader board out front. We want to be able to make sure Dilly has a really old sign that is almost falling down. So now that we're wrapping up that project and we have some bond funds left, we're gonna look at replacing that sign. And then the bathrooms currently have just painted concrete floors. So over Christmas break, we're going to look at epoxying those floors so that they have a nice resilient flooring on it, and we're not having to repaint it every year and it's not seeping through. So it's a lot easier to clean. So the bathrooms we're looking at doing the epoxy flooring on. And then, the wainscot in the hallways, that didn't stick to the walls as we thought it was going to. And when it was applied, it was a super humid week. And so we have some bubbling coming off on the wainscot. And so over Christmas break, we're gonna look at either replacing it or putting something new on to the walls. So that'll take some of this budget variance left. But we want to make sure that it's gonna stick and it's gonna be there for a long time. So we did have some issues with the wainscot going down the hallway. So we might look at doing something different over Christmas break on that. But that's all that's left really at Billy to do. As far as the added value things that we were able to do this summer, and I know Emil talked about, we had 5-star on both Neil Armstrong and on Billy. And I felt bad every single time we came to a meeting this summer. It was like, oh, but can you fix this? And oh, can you fix this? And oh, can you fix this? While you have that open, can you? And they were on it every single day. And so, and then I'd come back the next week and it would be fixed already. One day we were walking around the outside and I was like, oh, I think there was some water damage on the library wall a couple of years ago. Can you guys just kind of poke in there and see if there's anything wrong? Within a week, that whole wall was replaced, like on the inside. And so it was one after another that we were hitting them with for both projects, and they were able to get both projects done before school started. So we were really happy about that. As far as Dilly, we were able to get a lot of deferred maintenance done while we were kind of in there and in the walls. But the full hallways got renovated, so we were only supposed to, with the seismic upgrades, do some of the hallways. We went and did all of the hallways so that it was consistent through the building, and they just kind of got that refreshed. The entire exterior got painted. That wasn't part of it. It was only where the seismic improvements needed to get painted. The inside of the gym got painted, and then the asphalt. We got new asphalt out by the play structure and coatings on the parking. And then new signage. So I think we ended up with a lot of extra value, at Billy this summer, and we got a lot done. So that one, I think between NAMS and Billy this last summer and getting those wrapped up felt really good. So,
Yeah, I was out at Dilly last week too, and it looks beautiful. I mean, it really looks nice. I used to teach in that building, so it just looks great, yeah.
well, and Dilly's signage is ordered. It's just not in yet, but as you walk in the front door underneath those two trees, they've been limbed up a little bit. But there's gonna have Dilly Elementary across the front, and then they have a lighted Dilly Dolphin sign that's gonna be underneath that cover. And then at the bus loop on the street side is gonna be a Dilly Dolphin logo on the wall there. So as kids get off the bus, they'll have that welcoming logo. But those are all ordered, just waiting for those to be delivered so that they can be installed. So, yeah.
So the wet spot that was in the library at Dilly, it was on the right-hand side when you walk in the corner, and that's where you took all the books off and moved the bookshelves out. Is that where it was?
Yep. Under that window.
Yeah,
Yeah, so the sheetrock and stuff has been replaced underneath that window.
uh-huh,
And then all of the flashing around the exterior window has been redone with the siding.
okay,
So we shouldn't have a water issue again. Yeah,
yeah. The librarian was trying to explain to me, she couldn't understand why our books were off. And I said, I have no idea. I have no idea what they did. But that's
Yeah.
great, prevention is really good.
yeah. Any other questions about Dilly?
We're gonna move on to CTE at the high school. And I'm gonna let our colleague Alex update you from where we're at from a construction standpoint.
Okay, so, let's see, it was last week, we finished the interior nursery, or just before Labor Day, we finished the interior nursery, at least enough to get it open, still waiting on a couple doors. And then for the main CTE structure, we've got, to borrow your phrase, the superstructure
Yeah.
up. So we've got the roof decking finishing up tomorrow, and then we'll move into, we've got the exterior siding going up now. So the next couple of weeks will be rough end roofing, starting to get the skin on there, so it'll start to look like a real building, and started to get interior walls up, so the interior is starting to take shape. But I'd say overall, we're probably about halfway, so come Thanksgiving, we'll have a new wing here.
You think it'll be done at Thanksgiving? So you're shooting for?
Yep. If I have anything to say about it, yes.
All right.
You're in charge.
Yeah.
When were these pictures taken?
Well,
It's like about a week.
yeah, probably about a week
Oh,
ago.
wow, you're gonna go fast.
Yep.
And will the kids get to move into it, the
For second semester,
second semester, so like the end of February?
February.
Oh,
Yeah.
February, okay, and they're in the old space right now, right?
Well, right now for the nursery or for the pre-K?
Oh, I'm thinking of,
Or sorry, I called it CTE. So maybe we should explain exactly what type of CTE.
So the CTE early childhood pathway classroom is gonna be the pre-K
okay,
space, which is the new building.
okay,
And then the yellow short walls, this is where the nursery renovation is. So the nursery used to be back by the woods and shops
Right,
classes,
right,
kind of in a hole. And now it's gonna be right on your way to the early childhood. So now they can share spaces, they can be nice and locally next to each other.
do they
Um,
have windows?
It will have a window. We've cut in a window. Right now it's a piece of plywood until the storefront comes in. But yeah, they will have a window, and we're hoping to have the pre-Ks, or not the pre-Ks, the nursery kiddos in by early next week. Just waiting on a final couple permits.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
So that was the other added benefit of being able to have the CTE space. We did not have bond funds allocated separately for the nursery renovation. But with requirements for a nursery and having natural light and then it being close to services and stuff that meets the need, we were able to then use and braid the funds to be able to do, move the nursery to a close space to the CTE space. So does that make sense? So the nursery renovation is all out. And then the bottom right is the classroom, which used to be the nursery. And I wish I had a before picture because
I know what it looked like. It was terrible.
that room does not look like the same
Yeah.
at all. So it's pretty impressive. But yeah,
It's a nice teaching space.
What are they using? What class is gonna be? You know?
what class is, what,
A what?
Math class.
A math class, okay.
A brand new teacher in that space.
mhm. So, and then we'll be able to go walk the CTE space and the pre-K space after this. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
We should. High school?
as far as Forest Grove High School, most of those projects are slated for summer of 2025. Summer of 23, we were able to do the restroom fixture, and then this current summer, we were able to get the track resurfaced early. So, but the rest of Forest Grove High School projects are all gonna be next summer.
The track got resurfaced? The high school? Oh.
Yeah, just like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was just done, right?
Okay,
Okay, Echo Shaw, so this is one of our projects for 2025. It's, like I said earlier in the schedule part, wrapping up design. The scope there is, I don't want to say mainly seismic, but it's seismically driven. But one of the things that we had to do in the bond was look at replacing, it said to replace just damaged siding, but, the siding there is, I always refer to it as the Sears and Roebuck, aluminum siding. Back in like the 50s, I don't know if you know this, but you could buy siding from Sears and they would come to your house from the catalog and they throw this metal siding on your house. It looks like that product. And it's not friendly when kids throw balls at it or make dents in it, and there's nothing you can do once it's happened and it's all dented up. So instead of trying to piecemeal replace just sections of it, we are taking all of that siding off of the building and re-siding it. But this kind of coincides with our seismic upgrades. Our engineer is very happy with us because now he can put new sheathing on the outside, get a lot of shear value out of it, and we don't need to do as much interior work. So there's a bonus there. The other part of the bond was to look at some of the windows to be replaced, but that again did not make sense because the rest of the windows were of the same vintage and most likely going to start failing in a few years as well. So we made the decision to just replace all of the windows, except for like around the cafeteria. There's some newer storefront stuff. So the real enhancement to this project will be the school will look from the exterior like a brand new building because the architect has done an excellent job. I don't know, do we have any? No.
no, I didn't.
They've made some really cool renderings. Maybe next time we'll bring them and show them to you, with some colors and some patterns. They found that in the sign out front, there was this little speckle of color that I don't think I'd ever noticed. And then they introduced that into a section by the entry. Anyways, it'll all look super cool. But between that and the seismic upgrades and then taking a page that Eileen learned from Dilly, instead of just doing the interior walls where we were touching them for seismic, this time we've just put it into the project to redo all the wainscot and all the hallways. So the interior of the building will also get a nice refresh. And should feel hopefully like almost like a little brand new building once we're said and done. Our estimates so far have come in excellent for that project, under what we had originally budgeted. So again, we're just in a great construction market right now and things are going really well there. Sort of its sister project at Harvey Clark. It's not a bad report, but it's totally different.
Can I pause
Oh,
real
yeah.
quick? So you mentioned that Dilly, the wainscoting was bubbling in some spots. So I just think it'd be great if you guys, if you decide to try something different, to try to do that, you know, by winter break. So then they would know for these next buildings, what's working or not working.
We're actually
year.
looking at an option, similar to what we put in Neil Armstrong. So what's in, the hallway where the light blue is.
Yeah.
That new wainscot,
Hmm.
that's what we're kind of looking to see
Okay.
how that would look and fit in Dilly and then in the other buildings. It's more resilient of a product.
I mean, I like how the other one looks better, but yeah, if it's not sticking to the wall, then.
Yeah.
We don't really want to go with that. Okay, you can go on, sorry.
No, that's an excellent point. And to that point, it is the same architect at Echo Shaw and Harvey who did Dilly, so there's sort of a lesson learned there. So we would make sure not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Harvey Clark, just to jump to it, just a larger upgrade. So it's originally these two projects had a similar budget. It's in fact the same amount of money. It's just kind of split differently. There's a lot more work needed at Harvey Clark. Seismically, it was not in, I say, as good of a shape. And because of the exterior, there's no way to completely skin it like we are at Echo Shaw. So all the interior, all the renovations happen from the interior. And because we have to touch virtually every single classroom wall, I think we talked about this last time, we brought on a CMGC firm. In fact, it's 5-star. They've been an excellent partner and we will continue that with them. And we think that we're going to need to do it over 2 summers. Although I would say that they have, I think, looked at some schedules that maybe are
A
speedier than
year and a
that.
half potentially. But with Harvey Clark, we also have to seismically improve the gym. Whereas Echo Shaw, we don't, so we have to do all the inside walls of the gym and then we have to re-roof the whole dome. So there's just a lot more scope to that building.
So or like I said, Echo Shaw may appear like a brand new building. It's gonna have new colors and stuff from the outside. Harvey Clark will probably look the same from the outside, but be a much newer building on the interior. Which won't be as exciting because we're not moving any of the walls around, but we do have to touch so much of it. It will get a pretty good refresh with paint, wainscot, and all those same ideas like we're doing in the other buildings. I don't think there's anything else really too remarkable to talk about at Harvey.
The only other thing is one of the bond, through the bond campaign, what we heard is, a very strong interest in the community for safety and security. And the number of exterior doors that we have and access points that we have across the district. So as we're going through this, we're also looking at ways that we can start to reduce that to improve the safety and security. So like at Echo Shaw, when we have all the siding off and we're doing the siding in the windows, there's 3 or 4 classrooms that have 4 classrooms that have exterior doors. Those are gonna now not be there and just be a window. So we're looking at opportunities that we can use the funds and meet more of the need of the safety and security across the district. So we are also looking at that for Harvey Clark. It's a little bit more intensive because we can't, to meet fire standards, we'd have to sprinkler the wings. And so we're looking at what that cost is. And both buildings have or will have air conditioning by the end of next summer. So not being able to open the windows, they'll have better air conditioning and better HVAC in those classrooms. So the need to open those doors isn't going to be there as like it is today. So we're looking at that so that we can meet both parts of the bond commitment and what we heard from our community.
Playgrounds, I would have liked to have gotten more done this summer with our installs, but when I'll just say pivoted to try to see if we could get more ADA friendly playgrounds done in the district and reworked our budget, we delayed some of our ordering. So then we knew that our installs would be happening in the fall instead of the summer. We have so much playground equipment sitting in Mark's warehouse right now, we don't know what to do with it. Quite literally. But we are in the next probably month going to get a brand new playground installed at Gales Creek and at the district office, which will be nice upgrades. The reasons we're hitting those first is those will remain to be bark chips underneath them. There was I don't want to say less of a need for ADA there, but it just made most fiscal sense of how we distributed the dollars. We then delayed until next summer. I'm gonna get this right, Eileen. 4 more, which is Harvey Clark, Fern, Echo Shaw, Dilly, and Tom McCall. And at those 4 locations, we're gonna put down the rubber tile. The rubber tile is just I'm not sure who at the ADA Central said wheelchairs roll over bark chips and allowed that. If you've ever tried, I'm sure you haven't, it does not work. So at some point, Eileen had come to me and said, what would work best for ADA purposes? And the rubber tile is really just kind of bulletproof. It lasts forever, but it does cost a little bit more to put in. So
And we're not doing it across all of the playgrounds, just the new structure that's being added.
Yeah.
So like Harvey Clark, where the new structure is gonna be added, is gonna have the tile base, but then the rest is still gonna be chips. We're not
yes.
doing the full thing.
And so there will be a blend, but what it'll do is it'll allow that piece of equipment now, which also has ADA components to it, will actually be accessible to those students. At Harvey Clark, it's kind of fun because we have so much already playground equipment there. Instead of putting up just another traditional piece of playground equipment, we're going to kind of devote the area to all ADA friendly playground equipment. So they're going to kind of get this whole ADA area out of their playground. And we're also going to move some, like at Echo Shaw, the playground's kind of out in the field. We're actually going to move it right up next to the covered play. So you go from the asphalt right out onto the rubber tiles. Again, just makes everything easier for access. So,
And we're still working with the playground vendor to get designs to then take to the administrators and the building to be able to get their feedback. So we haven't fully designed those yet. We're waiting for our playground vendor to get done with all of his summer 24 stuff that he's working on this summer, so then he can start really focusing on helping us design for next summer.
Will public access to Tom McCall's playgrounds change?
oh, Tom McCall, thank you. I mentioned that and said, so there are currently 3 playground areas at Tom McCall, one both at east and west. Those are actually in decent shape, and we are just actually, we found out today the shipment of the parts came and those are being refurbished. So anything that's broken, rusty, maybe there's a little dangerous part for the kid, we're going to replace all those and leave those play areas intact right in their locations. The one that the Oak Grove Academy uses, that's kind of at the, will that be the far east kind of end of the campus, sort of where they're look to me to be like fenced tennis courts, but it's actually a fenced playground area. That's the one where we've already demolished the existing, the playground equipment in there wasn't really safe anymore. And we're going to put something in that's very nice for the purposes of the Oak Grove Academy, which is a little different than just, I don't know, it's general playground equipment. They need things that are more swinging and hanging on. We kind of worked with the staff to determine the types of things that they wanted there. They wanted a basketball court. So we're going to make one of the areas into a basketball court. We're probably going to stripe it for some pickleball, I think we said.
We're looking to see what the.
Yeah, what the spaces are. And yeah,
So there's 2 spots, there one's futsal, right? A futsal court and one's where the playground was.
The playground one is one we're looking
Yeah.
at doing. The
So
futsal.
you're gonna
one's
try
the
to
same.
do the hanging stuff and the pickleball and all that in that one?
Well, we're looking at to see if we can shift the current play structure, where the current play structure was over asphalt already. So if we can isolate that to one area, then we could potentially make a space wide enough for 2 basketball hoops and then stripe a court in the
Yeah.
middle.
You
But
guys do a half court and they can
it's
still play
pretty
on that,
big
yeah.
area, so.
it's pretty big.
Pretty big.
The public has access to the playgrounds, don't they? Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, so it'll still have, access to the community. It'll still have a play structure there. So if people are there doing youth baseball, and they'll be able to still play on that space. It'll still have that playground feel, but it will have a couple more components on it for, the needs of the students there at Oak Grove.
I have a question about Gales Creek. So years ago, we put in a track for the kids to walk, the community and parents put that in. And the students at Oak Academy out there at Gales Creek, they use that track, but it's so, it's so overgrown and that if there's some money down the road, is there a way that we could, I'm not sure that bark dust would work because there's nothing underneath the bark dust and the trail used to be about 5, 6, feet long, I mean, across the width. And now it's like this and the kids use that, they really use it and, it's sort of a relaxing sensory walking around, they decompress in that. Is there any thoughts of doing something to fix that?
I do have that on our list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have not dropped that one. That
Yeah.
one's still on our list of how to prioritize the remaining bond funds.
Yeah, because the kids are walking in now, but it's really wet there during the winter and, it's just, the weeds are coming up and it's just a mess.
So one of the first things at least we're gonna do is, how there's little workout stations along that path?
Yeah,
So we're replacing all of that equipment, but we're gonna consolidate it closer to the playground area. So-
did you consult the community?
On moving the little
See,
workout
I
areas?
think I've shown you those.
Well, you have, but there's a lot out in that community where the parents in the community put those in, so.
Well, right now, they're not necessarily safe to use, all of them. Some of them need to be decommissioned pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
But the stuff that we have in the plan to replace them and just move where they're at, so then they can be used by both community and the school.
I wouldn't put bark dust out there. I would put some kind of rubber mat or something around because bark dust doesn't last long. I mean, it just doesn't last. And it's tracked into the school. But it's a mess on the shoes, bottom of the shoes. So anyway, we would really like to see that for the kids.
That's pretty much all I have on playgrounds. Pre-K, starting
Okay.
soon.
Pre-K is actually starting soon. We've been working with cabinet and senior leadership about what this looks like across the district. We were starting to work on pre-K last fall, and then all of the other bond projects kind of took lead, and so we kick-started pre-K in August. But the things that we're looking at with pre-K, the bond commitment is to ensure that there's capacity in the district and to ensure that there's a classroom for pre-K at every elementary school. So a single classroom, not enough classrooms for pre-K for all. And it doesn't make usage of those classrooms will depend on funding for operations, since we can't fund the operation of the pre-K with bond funds, but we can make sure that there's a classroom there. So when we do get an expansion of pre-K funds, we can then utilize the space. So things that we thought about, is how do we ensure that there's a pre-K classroom for each building? We want to make sure that there's at least some improvements to each elementary school. We wanted to look at the impact of portables across the buildings, size of current buildings, whether they're large or small buildings. What the impact is of creating a large building, a large elementary school, even larger. So taking an Echo Shaw or a Harvey Clark and making it then bigger for enrollment and the impact of that, boundary changes, and then the overall cost to what the plans were. So we had a couple of pretty good conversations and planning committee meetings that we had, but the overall approach that we're going to take for district-wide pre-K, and we're going to start planning for that now, is Cornelius. It's going to be built into the new elementary school. So that building's good to go. We don't have to do anything there. Joseph Gale, we currently have one classroom there that has a bathroom close to the main office, and that classroom is then going to get renovated into a pre-K classroom. Echo Shaw currently has 2 pre-K classrooms, so all we're going to do is renovate those 2 pre-K classrooms. Fern Hill, so we need to, before I talk about Fern Hill, in order for us to be able to have capacity for pre-K across the district, we do have to add classroom space to the district for what our enrollment projections look like for 10 years out. And so Fern Hill is currently a small elementary school, and it's designed to be able to have an addition onto it. So we're looking at adding 4 classrooms onto the end of Fern Hill, 2 on the lower and 2 on the upper, and making one of those classrooms a pre-K, and the other 3 will help support capacity across the district. And so Fern Hill would then get 4 new classrooms. And then Harvey Clark needs 2 classrooms added onto the back of the building, and it would be back past the library is what we're looking at, but we still need the architects and engineers to really look at that and analyze it. But we would be adding 2 classrooms there and making one of those the pre-K. So that's the plan and our approach to pre-K moving forward. And we've just been finalizing that, so.
What about Dilly?
Oh, I skipped Dilly, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Dilly would get 1 classroom added onto the back. So it would have to get a new garden. And then we would renovate a classroom near the front of the building. And it would probably be the old music room because it already has a storage closet that's we can renovate into a bathroom, so it's close to the bathroom. So that would then become the pre-K, and then we would add 1 classroom onto the back of that building. But it would impact the garden space.
Does the pre-K have to have a bathroom within the classroom?
Our standards are that we're adding a restroom into each pre-K classroom. It has to have, you have to have visibility of students going in and out of the restroom. You can't lose visibility of students. So
Yeah,
you,
so at Cornelius, that's not the case.
Cornelius, we have a restroom
In the classroom?
In the new building.
in the new
In the
building,
new building, not the old guy. Okay,
not the old
okay,
building,
okay,
but our
okay,
new
yes,
standard
okay,
is there
got
is a
it, got it.
restroom in each pre-K classroom.
Yeah,
So-
because I know where the music room, and right across is a bathroom.
Mhm.
Yeah, but okay, got it.
So, any questions on our pre-K approach that we're gonna start planning?
Well, that's wonderful.
I'm excited for it. Okay. Safety and security, a lot has happened this last summer with safety and security. Our cell and DAS is completed, our ADA buttons is completed. And then as far as the security trio system, we are substantially complete. We're finalizing the high school NAMS and Dilly right now. And so there's just a little bit left. I know Pat's even over at NAMS right now, working with Convergent on finalizing some of our security trio improvements at those 3 buildings. Once we finalize those 3 buildings, then we'll start kicking off the schedule for the remaining buildings for our security trio. Security film is actually complete now. And then our exterior is ongoing. The fencing, we have some of it done, some of the repairs over at Tom McCall done, and the NAMS fencing is supposed to start any day now. Where the NAMS field is gonna be fully fenced. We'll have a gate on the backside of NAMS so that people can't just drive onto where the track is. So for now, we have the temporary construction fence still staying up until that fencing is complete, then we can take that temporary fencing down. And that's all for safety and security. Any questions on that one?
So it says here, they may need additional budget allocation.
I have a note there for that, as we start to dive into the rest, I mean, our 2 biggest buildings, NAMS and the high school, are done. But I do have a note there, just depending on how we close out these projects. This is just one area that I feel has risks to use, but I don't believe it's gonna be substantial. I just think it might go over budget.
It says remaining 1.5, is it really, is that what I saw?
1.5, yes, but on the security system, security trio, there's only 333,000 left.
Oh,
And so it's that line in particular that I'm kind of
mhm,
wondering about, because we still have the rest of our buildings to do.
mhm.
So it might use from other lines within the same bucket, but just as I was going through it last week, I was kind of like, but we're not there yet.
Okay.
I just wanted to make it a note. Yeah. Fire safety.
Fire systems, I guess part of safety and security, but we split this out. We hired GB Manchester to do all of our fire alarms throughout the district, or at least look at them. They have completed the assessments everywhere, but they're, except for the high school, which is obviously a big thing, but the high school and Tom McCall East and West systems are just gonna get upgraded. They are currently EST, and that is the system that we were trying to go with district-wide. Dilly, as part of the construction, since they were there tearing it apart this summer, we had GB jump in there, and they were awesome, and they got the whole thing up, done, and ready for the school year. And the same thing at NAMS. I do say that it's in progress. There are some beam detectors we still need to move in the gym due to the new curtain. But other than that, NAMS and Dilly are pretty much done. We are gonna get brand new systems at Gales Creek and the district office, which are next. They had planned to start at Harvey Clark and Echo Shaw next, but I reminded them that those are going to construction next summer, and it'll be a lot easier to do, kind of like how we tackled Dilly. Cornelius obviously has a brand new fire alarm, and there isn't a need for any work at Joseph, Gale, or Fern Hill. However, for your knowledge, I was talking to Pat today, and we kind of just left Taylor Way off from the. So we might need to go over to Taylor Way and see what kind of fire alarm, send GB over there and see if we need to do anything with that fire alarm system. I know you're not having any issues with it. You would have brought that up, but we certainly didn't, it wasn't on the list. So, but I think we might take a look at it.
Does this tie into the sprinkler systems? I was just wondering if we made sure that we caged the sprinkler systems from now on.
In the gym.
Mhm.
I think they have cages on the sprinklers in the gym now underneath the walkway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Those arrived from the supplier the next day after we learned of that problem. Just like,
I was assuming so, but I don't wanna assume too much. Figure I should just ask about it.
The other thing about the fire systems, one thing we learned this summer that we didn't have accounted for was as they were going in and redoing the fire systems across Dilly. They're moving things and opening up walls and places and stuff. And so it was a huge benefit to be able to have the contractor on site to be able to fix those things as they're going in and doing the security upgrades and the fire at the same time. So holding off on Echo Shaw and Harvey Clark and having them in there doing that work when we have the contractor on site. So that it's not costing us more to be able to then have another contractor come in and fix all of the issues. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
shifting the schedule and having them start on those two buildings next summer is gonna be a much better approach.
The district office is also a nice one to do during the school year, just because they can do it during the day, and I don't have to pay for the swing shift, so we are trying to save a little money by moving the district office to the school year. And then Gales Creek, though, they'll have to do one swing shift. And we can't disturb the kids. But we can disturb Eileen in the office. He doesn't care.
Don't be in our office watching the cam of the pouring concrete.
Well, 3 in the morning.
All right, HVAC,
Roofing is next, and
Oh.
actually, all of the roofing is done except Harvey Clark, so we're 100% done except Harvey Clark. And that one we put on hold until next year because it's gonna be done in alignment with the Harvey Clark project. Because we have to do roofing with the seismic work, and so as soon as we finalize the summer of 24, this stuff and the current encumbrances get closed out and those the high school project gets completed, then any remaining funds here is gonna go over to Harvey Clark. And then we'll use both Harvey Clark roofing funds along with Harvey Clark seismic and Harvey Clark budget to do it all in one project instead of two. So anything that's left in this budget, probably by Christmas, will be moved out and moved into the Harvey Clark project. HVAC. Billy and Gills Creek now have air conditioning.
My gosh, they're probably so excited. Well, they were last week, probably.
Yeah, for sure.
Harvey Clark, Echo Shaw actually got theirs 2 summers ago as part of the ESSER funds, and next summer will be Harvey Clark. And so we're just gonna do these individual classroom units. Seems to be the most cost-effective approach to be able to add air conditioning in these older buildings. One of the other things with the district HVAC budget, as we're going through this, we were able to utilize ESSER funds for a lot of our HVAC over the last 2 years and get a kickstart on these projects. So we will, by the end of this, see savings here. But our goal is to keep the savings in the HVAC budget because there is going to be issues over the next 5 years, before the next bond hits. So our goal would be to reserve whatever's left when we get done with these projects for future HVAC needs, because something always goes out, a boiler goes out or a unit
I was
goes
like,
out.
look at Neil Armstrong last week,
Yeah,
and the chiller too.
yeah, the emergency chiller then went out. So we know there's always ongoing HVAC needs over and above what our bond request was. So anything that we were able to do with ESSER funds and then keep reserves here to be able to then support us longer, will help our operating budget moving forward. As far as Dilly is done, Gills Creek is done, district office is done. And then Forest Grove High School, the DDC controls piece is done. The rest of it will be done next summer. Fern Hill is actually, should be getting air conditioning this week. And then Tomahawk should be getting air conditioning. I think one is already up and running, the other one, East is up and running, the other one is almost there. So we weren't able to get it done before last week when the heat came, but for the next heat wave we get,
Yeah.
they will have air conditioning. So that's been a big push on ours, is as we're upgrading the HVAC, how can we improve the quality in the classroom? So we're moving forward with all of our HVAC projects, and these are spread over 3 summers. So we've got a pretty good kickstart on it. Technology. Actually, Enrique's here. Do you want to talk about your technology projects?
Yeah. This is kind of working in tandem, some of it, with the safety and security, because with all the additional both intrusion, and also surveillance and things like that, we needed to upgrade the infrastructure to support the necessary power and data requirements of everything. So part of that is the stuff you never see hiding in the closets, such as the network switches that provide power to all the cameras and all the endpoints in the security system, along with all the new wireless devices at each of the schools, as well as servers and storage that will support all the safety and security. So we have the new Trio system works on the new Genetech security system. So we have new virtual servers for that and storage for all the surveillance. And then we have with the classrooms, this is kind of an idea of what's going to be going into the new part. Cornelius Elementary School is part of the new classroom technology standards, going with interactive short throw projectors. So it adds the flexibility of the teacher still being able to use a whiteboard, but at the same time, it also will function with the projection unit, but it is interactive because it'll work with interactive pens and also a touch module.
That's cool.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I played with one at NAMS.
It also,
That sounds fun.
we already
Take a
had
picture
pilot.
of that.
We already had pilot classrooms across the district utilizing it. The teachers that have kind of been kind of our kind of leaders in that, they're really excited about the different tools that it offers. They can do split screen on it. And so, yeah, so no, they really like it. The other pieces are the voice enhancement or audio enhancement, which you'll see down there in the lower left. And it's that little black box next to the projector. It's a light speed system where the teacher, especially, this is going to be really helpful in the elementaries, but then also in some of the others. The teacher basically wears a little microphone on a little lanyard and basically voice amplification in the classroom. But it also ties into the teacher's computer and other AV equipment so that they can also use it as the classroom speaker as well as for audio enhancement. There's some teachers that already have some needs across the district that we've started to put these in, either because of their personal needs for accommodations with the district or just because of the classroom space, especially with some of the kinders. It's really been beneficial to them. So
I mean, next time I'm gonna request that you guys give your presentation using this new technology and a meal.
Yeah.
That'd be perfect.
And then the last
We do
piece,
that when we do it at NAMS.
Yeah.
We'll do NAMS in one of the classrooms with all the new projectors.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
and the last piece kind of illustrated here with the images is we did put out an RFP this last, kind of E-rate cycle for, dark fiber for the district. Fat Beam is the company that, won that bid. So they're in the process of right now, they finished their surveys, they're now just trying to get permits for all the, for the installation. So once they get the permitting complete, then they'll get their build schedule, and we'll get our maps. And the pictures earlier that you saw from Cornelius with some of the trenching, some of that trenching is for all the different pathways for the fiber that's gonna be coming into the building there. So yeah, a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Taylor Way got a new garage door and some more paint. That's the only thing, and we did a lot of chemical abatement at Taylor Way over the last year. So those were the two big things at Taylor Way that have happened. Otherwise, I'm gonna go through the next pages really fast because we haven't done a ton and these are summer of 25 projects. So, tell me to slow down if I'm going too fast, but I'm gonna hopefully get through these pretty quick. So Taylor Way got a new garage door. Hills Creek, we really haven't done anything at. Tomahawk West is new carpet that we did this summer, and then, next summer is the rest of the items. Tomahawk East, we did some parking lot repair and carpet. The rest is next summer. Fern Hill is next summer. Joseph Gale's next summer. District office is next year. Custodial and nutrition is over a 2 to a 3 year phasing. Summer 1 is done. We had a lot of learnings with summer 1 of custodial nutrition services equipment. Mostly in, we had some fridge replacements, fridge freezer replacements. We had some dishwasher replacements. Then we added combi ovens into our elementaries and into our high school and middle school. So we now have new combi ovens. But the rest of the equipment will be next summer and potentially the following summer. So we were able to learn a lot this summer with, equipment changes and models and, designs. So, hopefully we'll be able to raid with nutrition services excess fund balance to be able to then just get a little bit more out of this budget than what we have originally planned. So we'll have more information in kind of spring, probably, about where we are with budget and planning out next year's projects. Lastly is our contingency budget. This is where everything else falls. Really the only things in here is we have a little bit of accounting support. We have a facilities maintenance FTE out of here. The one great thing about having the facilities maintenance FTE that we have, our maintenance tech has a strong HVAC background. And so our Gales Creek and Dilly projects, we installed ourselves. So they were able to purchase the equipment and install it. So that is another added benefit on why we are saving funds in the HVAC budget, is because then we have this FTE that is out there helping support in all of these projects.
Quick question about HVAC. I was talking to an HVAC person saying this is the year to buy an HVAC system because the type of coolant used, we have to use a new, more environmental friendly type of coolant starting next year. I wondered if you knew if the systems we're putting in are the new type or the old type.
They're new.
They're the new.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brent has come and talked with me a couple of times about that, and so we are starting to plan. But we will have a little bit of a transition adjustment that we'll have to go through, and so that's another good reason to hold on to those HVAC funds. Yeah. That is it. That was a lot tonight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It was a busy summer for sure.
I want to thank Alex for staying till the end for the tour event.
Oh, yeah, 'cause we're gonna tour your space,
Yeah,
your superstructure.
Yes.
Cool.
It's pretty cool.
but
So
now
excited to
Eileen's
see
gonna
it.
give out presents.
Yes.
I
I
was
have
wondering.
presents for everybody.
Us.
Yeah,
I
Yes.
love gifts.
well, hopefully you love these gifts.
And it's a gift, to say thanks, it's fun. You can drop it at Goodwill when you leave.
Size,
Just
grab a
kidding.
couple. Go over to the table, you guys are gonna get for your site tours.
Oh, that's why
And
we have
please,
to have.
Here we go.
Never been worn, brand new.
Oh, salad. Okay.
I grabbed a big one for myself beforehand, so I cheated.
Okay, but it's not a gift.
I don't think a lot of people want triple extra large anyways.
I would swim in it.
When I'm a little worried, you're like,